Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. It looks like it's snowing in slow motion today. It's really quite beautiful outside. Let's head inside now for today's bonsai work. Last summer, Connor gave me a cutting, a Snow Queen hibiscus cutting, or it could be a fire and ice hibiscus cutting. I'm not sure. It kind of gets the red on the leaves sometimes, and other times it kind of gets the white fringes. I'm not sure what kind it is, but it's a beautiful little plant. At the moment, it's trying to flower once again, but today I'm going to prune it back. There's a look at one of the flower buds that's about to open. Here's another one that is getting ready to open. Here's a look at the beautiful colors on the variegated leaves. Even though this hibiscus is really beautiful when it's in flower, I'm going to prune all the flowers off because all the resources of the tree go into making these beautiful flowers, and it doesn't grow at all during the blooming period. This tree is very young as a bonsai, and I would rather prune the flowers off and have all that energy going into creating a nice branch structure. Last time I worked on this tree, I chose this as the front of the tree, but I'm thinking now maybe somewhere more over this direction to kind of show the curve of the trunk a little more, highlight that branch structure. I took a fairly major branch off the tree last time I repotted it, and the scar is healing over nicely. I'll show you that. There's a look at it right there, healing over very nicely. Before I begin pruning, I've got to decide, do I want to leave one long leader to kind of, thicken up the trunk line, a sacrifice leader that I can then prune back shorter to maybe thicken up the trunk. So I've got to take a look at the tree and decide, do I want a thicker trunk line, or, do I just want to prune it back all short and kind of grow it out evenly? So I have a few problems. I have these two opposite branches here. This one is kind of growing in the inside curve of this trunk line, so that would be a logical one to remove. Maybe keeping this one. The problem here is I have ladder branches. I have one branch directly above another, kind of like the steps or rungs of a ladder. So that would mean I could take this one off and this lower one off, keeping these two. So I'm just kind of covering up my hand to see what that would look like. The problem is if I keep this one, then I've got this trunk line that sweeps up here, and these two kind of conflict with each other. I think I'd have to get rid of this one and keep this one. The other solution is to keep both of these. You do see that in nature a lot, opposite branches like that, especially on a kind of a broom style tree. And I guess I've got to decide what styling do I want for this tree. Do I want it to be a broom style? A broom style generally shows off all the flowers quite nicely. It's a good style for a flowering bonsai. I would hate to get rid of these branches. They're so nicely developed. And I think that's fine for a broom style to have them coming out. They don't come exactly opposite each other. There is some staggering, which is okay. I think it's quite acceptable. I'm going to leave that. I just hate to prune it all off. Even this lowest branch, I can maybe prune it short and try and redirect it in a more radial pattern or somewhere else other than kind of sweeping around the back of the tree. So I think that should be the plan. Kind of a broom style, pruning it off fairly short, keeping as much of the branch structure as I can. All right, I'm going to begin the pruning now. So I'll start with that lowest branch. I've got a leaf node here, which is a nice one. There's one on top here and one on the bottom. So I think I want to utilize that one here. So I'll prune it off quite short to here. Here I go, like that. There's one kind of growing out the top of it, which also wraps around the back of the tree. I can't use that. It's just not useful. So off it goes, like that. Okay, let's have a look at it now. Here I've got a branch growing from the inside of a curve. I'll better take that out before it becomes a problem. Like that. Just a little shoot. There's another one growing out the bottom here. I can take that off. Cleaning up that branch structure. Like that. There's a little branch growing here. I better prune that off before it becomes a problem. Or should I? It's possible. This branch is coming a nicer direction than the one down low. Maybe I should try and see if that develops, and possibly I could then prune this lower one off and keep this one. So I'll keep it for now. There's one growing here. I'm going to prune that one off. It's not growing in a good place. There's a stub here I can clean up from last pruning. Now, off of this branch off to the side, I have a new branch going out the front here. I've got one on top and one behind. There's 3 new shoots growing in that area that I've just got to get rid of. They're just going to make this thicken up and there'll be a big bulge here. So off it goes. Like that. That's one of them. There's another one on top here that can go like that. And then one behind. So now you can see the structure around this branch much more clearly. On that branch there's a new shoot coming straight up here. I've got a division here which I like, but I don't like that new shoot, so I'm going to remove that. It doesn't flow in a broom style structure. It kind of goes straight up and back, angles back kind of behind the tree. Yeah, that's not very nice. So off it comes. There we go. That's cleaned that area up quite nicely. I still have some branches to go on it. There's one here growing from the bottom of this branch. I'll get rid of that. That's a new shoot. It's a nice problem to have, having too many branches to choose from. So then, this branch, the thick line of it goes upwards, which could be developed, or I've got these 2 lower branches here I could develop and prune the upper part off. I always say, you know, go for taper and movement in the branches, so it would be nice to prune that thicker part off and develop these 2 as the new kind of branch leaders. So I think I'll do that. I think that's a good opportunity for taper in here. Yep, off it goes. Big cut. Just like that. So that comes off. I've got a nice branch leader here, and then I've got to prune this one off shorter. So I could prune this. There's a bud on the underside here, pointing downwards. The next one is out here. This one is getting kind of long, but I am going to prune it to here for now. And then I'll see what develops down here and then maybe prune it further in the future. So I'll leave that branch the way it is now. So that, yeah, that takes care of that side of the tree. I've got a dead stub up here I can remove. Like that. Now, if somewhere around here is the front of my tree, I have a leader coming up here, and then I've got another one behind. It's kind of a weird transitional area there. I think I'll start. I like this branch. It has more character than this one. Even though if I did prune off this one, I'd get better staggering. I'd have this one up here than this one, which would, you know, I would have less branches coming from one point on the tree. Tough choice. This is such a nice branch. It divides from 1 to 2 at the back, kind of horizontally. It's a good looking branch. I'd hate to prune it away, but I've got to think of the future. Okay, I'm thinking of the future. This is probably the better branch to keep. So I'm going to prune it off short here, like that, and then remove this one. Even though it's a well-developed branch, there's a whole bunch of branches coming out from one point here. I'm going to just clean it up first so I can get in there clearly with these scissors. And then off comes that branch. Oh, I hate to take it off, but it's just got to be done. So here I go. All these scars from these branches will leave a lot of nice character on the trunk of the tree. There it is. Wow. That changes the look of it. So I think that'll heal over quite nicely. Maybe I'll just clean it up a bit. Like that. That's a fairly flush cut now. Should heal over quite nicely. So next, I'm coming up here. You can see these two branches are parallel here. That doesn't look very good. It never looks good having parallel branches like that. So this one has to come off. So off it comes. Like that. Then this is now my apex. I have a leaf coming out this side, so I'll prune just above there, shortening the top of the tree down. And there we have it. There's actually a scar at the back here. I'm going to prune this one off shorter. To there. Okay, so that's quite a reduction for the tree in today's pruning. Here's a closer look at the tree now. So I think I solved a lot of these structural issues with the tree. I think it's something I can continue to build on in the future, which is always nice to have a basic, good-looking core structure, and then you build your branches off of that. That way you never go and look at the tree and say, oh, I wish I had have sorted that out 10 years ago. You do all this basic structural work first, then you build and build all your branch structure around your core framework of the tree. It's always difficult taking, this kind of larger tree with foliage and flowers and reducing it back to almost a skeleton-like structure. But I know I'll be happy that I did this work, 10 years in the future. I'll be happy that I got a nice core structure to the tree. It's time now for today's updates. The first update for today is my maybe Christmas cactus or Thanksgiving cactus. One of those. It's about to flower. You can see at the tips of all the leaves, there's some pink flower buds forming on it. I'll show you a close-up of those. Here's a close-up of the flower bud. You can see the flower buds are developing at all the tips of the branches. Should be quite a nice show when they come out into flower. When this plant was young, it never had any thorns or anything on it. And, other than being a succulent, I always wondered, well, why do they call it a cactus? And lately, as it gets old and mature, I noticed it's starting to get the little spiky spikes on it. I'll show you those. There's a close-up of the trunk, and you can see all the little spiky cactus needles sticking out of it now. I've never had those before, and now they're all over the old mature trunks. It's going to make repotting a little more difficult. I'll have to wear gloves for sure. Once the flowering is all finished, I'll be pruning the tree back and repotting it. I also have a cutting of the original plant, and it's starting to flower too, so very interesting. And it's also getting the little thorns on the trunk of the cactus. Yeah, it's starting to get mature, and it's beginning to look quite nice. My last update for today is my Ficus religiosa cuttings. I put a rather large cutting in this organic soil, and it's now just beginning to come out with new leaves, which is exciting. It means the cutting has survived. There's a look at the brand new leaves just coming out. It is a winter wonderland outside today. It's still snowing, but tomorrow it's supposed to be quite a bit warmer, so I'll be back to work on the greenhouse, getting that new end bench put in place. That's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.